Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Simply Brilliant with Phil Brilliant. It is Tuesday, April 14th. Get those taxes done. They are due tomorrow night by 11:59 on April 15th. And it's funny too, because talking to a couple of accountants, the IRS is really frowning upon paper, mailing in your refund, excuse me, mailing in your returns, mailing in how much you owe. They want you to do everything electronically. So if that's the case, pay it at 11:59 because you should keep your money before the federal government does. But I do think that's kind of funny because I think the days of the lines outside the post office are over. I don't even know if the post office used to stay open until midnight on April 15th. I don't know if they still do. I'll have to check on that. But it is summer has arrived, because we went from winter to summer. I guess the next couple days we'll see temperatures in the 80s. My lawn is definitely going to look forward to that, and hopefully everyone gets the opportunity to get out. Though I do hear that we might get some storms later today, so be careful. And speaking of today, so today is Yom HaShoah, and Yom HaShoah is Holocaust Remembrance Day. I lit my candle last night, my memorial candle, to acknowledge the 6 million uh, Jews who were killed in the Holocaust during World War II. We remember them on this day, and it is a day of mourning, not to be confused, by the way, with International Holocaust Remembrance Day, which was in January, which discusses and remembers the liberation of Auschwitz, and that's geared towards more of a global commemoration. But today is because of the Warsaw Ghetto uprising, and it's really based upon survivor testimonies. And it's interesting. I was watching this morning on the news. So Israel freezes for 2 minutes. If you're in your car, if you're driving, if you're working, if you're on the farm, whatever you're doing, air raid sirens go off, which unfortunately in Israel is a common occurrence. But for 2 minutes, the entire country stands still and remembers those who perished in the Holocaust. So today we remember those who lost their lives. Most of them who have survived, who lived through that terrible time, have passed on also, though we still do have several in our community. And tonight we will gather together for a Holocaust remembrance service. Um, this year is different than all other years. It's not Passover, by the way, as we always say, why is this night different than all other nights? But it's different because the location has not been disclosed because of security purposes. So the community will come together for a Yom HaShoah program, but the only people who know about it are those who registered because of security purposes. Though you will walk into the building with armed guards and your bags will be checked. And unfortunately, no different than entering a synagogue in America on these days because of the threats against not just you know Jews around the world through anti-Semitism, but mainly a lot against Jews in America. And so tonight will be an undisclosed location. We'll come together and we'll remember those who perished during World War II, during the Holocaust, the 6 million. Um, Not a very easy way to segue out of that, but I wanted to say that a big thank you out to Joanne Gwin of JBJ Soul Kitchen, who joined me on Sunday morning on Simply Brilliant on Beach Radio. A phenomenal interview. I think we got a lot of great information out. People have reached out to me and said, wow, I really never understood JBJ Soul Kitchen and how it worked and how they hold and provide dignity to people who are in need of food and how I can pay it forward. Joanne did a great job explaining it. And that video is out on Simply Brilliant. WOBM Beach Radio has established a like a kind of a Simply Brilliant page, which is very cool, and I'll try to keep promoting that to be able to keep our videos going. And this coming Sunday, I'll be joined at 9 o'clock by Superintendent of Toms River Regional Schools, Michael Citta, as we talk about him, because the Citta family has been around a long time, and I want you to learn about how long they've been around and what he's doing and how he does his job to help give as much as can be given to our regional school students, our staff, our teachers, under great constraints of financial constraints that we have here in Toms River. But that'll be Sunday morning at 9 o'clock, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when we come on to Thursday's show. But today I want to talk about a few more things. One is I want to make it very clear because there was some feedback that came, and I try to be as open as possible. Toms River Residents for Transparency is a page that I post on. It's a page that I'm the admin on. Toms River Residents Uniting Everyone is another page that I'm an admin on, but that acronym is also a continuing political committee, a PAC that raises money to, support candidates and support functions here in town relative to political movements. But I had come out with a little post the other day. I did take it down, being extremely critical of Council President Sikosi after last Wednesday's meeting, and that was unfair. It is not easy being under the gun when you are being yelled at 24 hours a day, you are being texted 24 hours a day, you're being scolded all the time, and sometimes enough's enough. And David Sikosi is a really good man. I will say a great man. He has been in our community for decades. He has raised his family here. And when I say raised his family, I believe he's a widower for over 25 years in that neighborhood. And he raised three great kids who are part of our community. Last Wednesday night, and I can't speak for David Sikosi, but I have spoken to him. He did what he thought he needed to do in that moment. And basically, sometimes, enough's enough, and there's only so much a person can take. And I've started to get closer to my threshold as I get beaten up personally and business wise on social media. But to have somebody in your face yelling at you as to what you're doing wrong and what's right, and whether that person's right or wrong, the loudest voice in the room sometimes just overcomes reality. And I think that it was a difficult situation. I think the outcome of that meeting really didn't change anything. And I think, and I'll talk about it in a second, but it was all about settling out affordable housing in Toms River that really needed to be done. And I'm going to jump into that right now, but I want to make sure that a big shout out that David Sikosi is a good guy, a great man, and he has the heart of a champion and puts Toms River first and foremost all the time. And I want to make sure that he knows that, and the people out there who have been questioning me on it and understand that too. And council will be back next Wednesday, the 22nd. The gloves will be back on, and they'll do it all again. And we'll see how that plays out. But I think it's important. So that meeting was April 8th. Remember, there was some requirements, and I've talked about it as to what needed to be satisfied as far as Judge Gertner's request in his directive on the affordable housing plan. And I want to share this letter. This letter is dated April 9th, which is a day after that meeting. Now, remember that meeting? I kept saying all they needed to do was pass a resolution, which basically said in the future, they will pass resolutions and ordinances again. Here is that resolution that was passed. Committing to the adoption, implementing ordinances and resolutions in connection with its fourth round affordable housing obligation. And that's what this says. It was adopted on April 8th. So here's the letter that's sent to the judge. And just so you all know, this is all available public information on New Jersey courts. And it says basically, I represent, pursuant to the order, the court extended the township's temporary immunity. It has been extended. I'll say that once, I'll say it 100 times, as long as they satisfied the necessary requirements by April 9th, which is what this letter documents. Further extension of immunity was conditioned upon the township's adoption of a binding resolution, which is what is attached here. Okay. The March 27th order further provides The township's automatic immunity shall continue pending further order of the court, which will be happen on April 23rd. Daniel Rodrick can yell all he wants. As we sit here today, the township is protected. Now, yes, one builder's remedy was filed by Meridia, but we'll see how the judge handles that on April 23rd. Once again, the township is protected. Ordinances don't need to be approved tomorrow. You don't need to move forward and finalize a plan. And quite honestly, the township should wait to see what happens on April 23rd when they go into court. I'm not an attorney. I don't play one on TV. I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. I'm simply reading what has been provided by the Toms River Township Attorney to the courts. All I'm reading. Okay. They did what Judge Gertner ordered. Now we sit back and wait to see what happens on April 23rd. What disturbs me, however, is that as we sit here today, Daniel Rodrick is still not involving the council that must vote on ordinances, resolutions, and the affordable housing plan. He needs to bring them in. He needs to engage them. He needs to get them in the room. There is a land use committee that was established on January 1st. Tom Niverson, David Siccosi, Robert Bianchini. They should be in the room when negotiations are underway. They should be working on the plan because personally, and again, I'm nobody. If I was them and that came to my vote, I want to know what that is. You cannot just drop the importance of this plan on my desk 10 minutes before you expect me to vote on it. I want a presentation. I want an understanding. Hopefully, Daniel Rodrick will hear that and start working with the council and not against them. I know you all think that the council's working against Daniel Rodrick. No. When you don't include the people who need to vote on ordinances or resolutions, you're working against them. And that's what Daniel Rodrick's doing. So, of course, when I go online to look at these letters that come out on the affordable housing, I go down the proverbial rabbit hole and I start looking at other things. So I went in yesterday and I started looking and I found this is the Jillian Messina versus Daniel Rodrick case. Individually in his official capacity as mayor, council member for the Township of Toms River and the Township of Toms River. This is a lawsuit that was filed. It's a 2024 date. A member of Jillian Messina was the public information officer for the Toms River Township Police Department, got up and spoke way back in January 2024 and was dismissed of her duties the next day. Her lawsuit's been ongoing, but it's interesting because this is a April 9th order that came out and basically says enough is enough. We need to get discovery done. And so depositions are set. George Loebman will be deposed on June 5th. Lynn O'Toole on June 9th. Phil Stilton on June 23rd. Craig Coleman on June 24th. Justin Lamb on June 26th. David Siccosi on June 29th. Okay. Plaintiffs and interrogatories are due by April 17th, which is this Friday. Defendants shall provide responses by April 30th. And here's an interesting paragraph, which I really do like as a term, ordered that in the event defendants do assert the affirmative defense of advice of counsel, the defendants shall produce all communications between defendant Rodrick and the township attorneys he identified in his depositions and from whom he sought legal advice regarding plaintiff's position, her employment, and her termination, and produce for deposition each attorney who defendant Rodrick identified as being consulted about plaintiff's position, her employment, and her termination by April 30th of 2026. This is not from Jillian Messina's attorney. This is not from Daniel Rodrick's attorney, which, by the way, is the same attorney law firm that is doing the affordable housing. This is the judge's order, okay, which is interesting. So basically what it's saying, and I do a decent amount of expert work, and the one thing you always learn when you're being deposed is answer the questions, don't give out anything more. So during Daniel Rodrick's deposition, which I don't have a date here provided, he basically mentioned attorneys who he gave him advice, documents he relied upon, communications between Daniel Rodrick and the township attorney, and he has until April 30th, or they have until April 30th to defend whether they need to provide that or not as part of this case to be continued. But this case is ongoing, and it looks like they're going to start moving forward on depositions. And I wish Jillian luck, because I think she got the wrong end of the deal back in 2024. In addition, we are seeing a lot about Silverton EMS. The other night at the council meeting on the 22nd, a resolution was tabled which would have stopped funding the attorney on the Silverton EMS lawsuit. Keep in mind, back in 2024, Daniel Rodrick said he discontinued dispatch to Silverton EMS. He said because they were under investigation by the prosecutor's office. 2 years later, the prosecutor's office has no ongoing investigation and has taken no charges against Silverton EMS. So what did Daniel Rodrick do? He filed a lawsuit because most people won't know the difference between prosecution from the prosecutor's office and a lawsuit. And this way he can keep the rhetoric going. And, of course, yesterday in Shore News Network, which once again is a fake news organization, that Toms River Township continues to pay, and they need to stop paying. And hopefully that will continue to go forward, because there's no reason Toms River Township residents, taxpayers, should be paying Shore News Network. And he goes on, and basically the headline yesterday is Toms River civil theft case against Silverton First Aid moves forward as discovery extends to August. And the article is dated April 13th, which was yesterday. So the last action on this case is February 13th. So 2 months earlier, he makes it sound like this just happened. Basically, it establishes timeframes and deadlines where fax depositions have to be done by tomorrow. Plaintiff's expert reports are due by May 15th. Defendant's expert reports by June 30th. That's my birthday, by the way. I will take gifts that day. Expert depositions, and going forward to trying to move everything with a status conference on August 3rd of 2026. So Judge Wellison wants this to start moving forward. This is not something that happened yesterday. And I think it's important because I read the article and I started looking back at the case, and sometimes the truth isn't always what people publish or what Daniel Rodrick says, but this is the truth of the case. No findings of theft has occurred. It's allegations by Daniel Rodrick and Toms River Township. The complaint itself says that they took in excess of 24,000 gallons, not $750,000 in fuel. And if you do the math, it is not even, let's figure it out, okay? If it's $750,000, if I divide that by 24,000, okay, that means we're paying $31 a gallon for gas. He blows it out of proportion. These are facts, by the way. I'm looking at the lawsuit. Okay. The lawsuit is over $750,000. It's not. There's no fixed number. Okay. It's based upon the assumptions and nothing documented yet about fuel and billing shares is the other issue in the lawsuit. All allegations, nothing proven to date. Okay. Another allegation that Silverton kept money that was due to the township. An allegation, there is nothing factual provided as of yet. These are all disputes. Okay. This is basically the statement that Rodrick made the other day. $750,000. You're stopping a lawsuit that's $750,000 of taxpayer money. Overstated. The lawsuit doesn't say $750,000. And if you do the math, it doesn't equal $750,000. 100% blown out of proportion. And that's what is the difference between what comes out of Daniel Roderick's mouth and what Shore News Media or network, whatever you want to say, publish. Let's stick to the facts. Look at the lawsuit. Read it yourself on New Jersey courts. Look at the facts and wait until the case goes through the court because that's the important part. And Daniel Roderick loves to kick things down the road. That's why the lawsuits work for him. He can keep yelling and screaming all he wants, but at the end of the day, they're all going to be done. And so will he as mayor of Toms River. I hope everybody has a fantastic day today. I hope you get out and enjoy the weather before the storm's coming in. Make sure to take care of your grass. This is the time of year to get that fertilizer down and get it to grow. And remember, I'll be back on Thursday. And then Sunday morning at 9 o'clock, I will have Superintendent Mike Citta on Beach Radio. And Simply Brilliant will always be around for you at Facebook for all the past editions. And if you have questions, comments, or want to get onto Simply Brilliant's Beach Radio broadcast, email me at simplybrilliant.tomsriver@gmail.com. Hey, have a fantastic day and be well.